Right, this weekend, UFC Abu Dhabi goes down. Tony Ferguson taking on Michael Chiesa. There's a lot of things to talk about here. Of course, when it comes to Tony Ferguson, the man's an absolute legend. We all know this, and he's given himself to the sport of mixed martial arts and put on some tremendous fights. By the way, you might have noticed I'm not in the room. I'm in beautiful Maui, Hawaii, having a morning stroll on the beach. Rebecca, you don't need to point out little rocks. I can see them. Anyway, never mind that. Tony Ferguson. So, I did a prediction video and I said more than likely Michael Chiesa wins. I think Chiesa can thwart the jiu-jitsu attempts, smother him en route to a decision. Tony Ferguson, as we know, he's on a 6-fight losing streak. But he did some interviews with the media this week and he said a couple of things that really make sense and kind of, with respect to Michael Chiesa, kind of make me feel slightly differently. And I'm telling you right now, we might see the best Tony Ferguson that we've seen in a while. Now, we know he's 40 years old and he has lost his last 6, which isn't good. And if he loses this one, then more than likely the man has to retire. 7 fights in a row, you're gone. Simple as that. And I think if he was to get cut, it wouldn't be that he doesn't have name value. It would be because, well, they're looking after the man. And when you're losing 7 in a row and you're 40 years old and there's been a sharp decline, you know, you got to think of the man's brain. You got to think of the longevity. You got to think about his health going forward. So that is why the UFC would part ways with Tony. Not because he can't sell fights, not because he's not a draw, but because it wouldn't be good for his health. So, what are the things that I'm talking about? Well, first of all, he's sparring again. I didn't know this. He said he hasn't sparred in about 7 years. Coming into this fight, he sparred roughly, he said, 120 rounds.
I went back to sparring and I haven't sparred in 7 years, where I've had good training partners and I put in about 120 rounds or so more of sparring. I put a lot of wrestling in, good training partners, good vibes on a good team, the Beehive back home in Orange County.
Now the reason that's significant is because Tony's striking has looked off lately, okay? And the reason the striking will look off is because the sparring is absolutely imperative to timing, right? Unless you're sparring, and we know Max Holloway famously didn't spar for a very long time. But still, not everyone's Max Holloway. Not everyone is face planting, just engaging when they've stepped up a weight class and going up against the human highlight reel, okay? That's just how good Max Holloway is. And how good is this place? Absolutely beautiful. Anyway, so the sparring, that's a big factor. I'm telling you, the striking is going to be much more improved. This takedown defense will be improved. The ability to mix things up from the striking to the wrestling will be much better. Also, the fight's at 170. Now, Tony Ferguson won the Ultimate Fighter a very long time ago at 170 pounds. Michael Chiesa won the Ultimate Fighter at 155 pounds. Tony Ferguson said when he was wrestling in high school at 16, he was wrestling at 152 pounds. So he's been going backwards his whole life. He's been suffering from the weight cuts. Let me tell you something about weight cuts. One, it affects your ability to take a shot. It affects your ability to recover from taking those shots as well. But more importantly, above that, it stops your ability to recover. When you're dieting down, you're restricting yourself from taking on nutrients, you're not recovering, you're losing muscle mass, you could go on, you're losing strength, explosivity. In the gym, you're not performing as well, and that affects your confidence as well. We know the cardio's never an issue. Last time out against Paddy Pimblett, he had David Goggins in the corner. Not the best move in my opinion.
Stay hard at all times!
He doesn't need that. He needs sparring, he needs nutrition, he needs the correct diet. And I need to not get soaked off these waves. So taking on the correct nutrition, going up 170 pounds or going up 15 pounds, that's going to be absolutely huge for Tony Ferguson, okay? Now he knows that he might get cut if he loses this fight, okay? So there's going to be a lot of pressure on the man. And even though in those fights, apart from Bobby Green, I don't think he was finished. Yes, Justin Gaethje was able to stop him on the feet and the referee saved him from any more damage. The question is, with going up a weight class, with the sparring, with the pressure, is it just time on Tony Ferguson? We don't know. Listen, he's had a style for the longest time. I've always said it, that he takes shots, a lot of shots. and he wears people out, and then he kind of takes over the fight. But that's not a style that's conducive to a long career. Eventually, that takes its toll on you, okay? Now, Tony's always been a wild guy. You know, he's always been a little bit on the weird side, but that's why we love him. He's absolutely hilarious, comes out with some wild shit. Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Getting into fights with Fabrizio Verdum and all sorts.
So, what the fuck you want?
The man's a real one, he's a real fighter. And he's got a real fight against Michael Chiesa. Because we've got to remember, if Michael Chiesa, who's lost his last 3, loses to Tony Ferguson, who's lost his last 6, that's kind of a bad look, right? And it's not like Tony Ferguson is some joke. It's not like someone that anyone can just walk through. Paddy Pimblett couldn't finish him, right? A lot of people could not finish him. Charles Oliveira couldn't finish him, one of the most prolific finishers in all of the UFC. But the big question is it just time? 40 years old in the lightweight division. I do think we're going to see an improved Tony Ferguson. I do think the timing's going to be better. I do think he's going to be stronger. I do think he's going to give Michael Chiesa a real run for his money. I predicted Chiesa to win via decision. Now I'm not quite so sure. Now, I'm in Maui, so the content has dropped a little bit this week, but don't you worry, I'm on it. My wife's giving me shit. She's there in the background. She's like, Michael, come on. Can we just get on with this? Can we just enjoy our vacation? I'm like, hold on a minute. I've seen interviews of Tony Ferguson. This is insane. I've changed my picks. I haven't changed my picks, but it's something to think about. What else is going on? Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. What's that? Just 2 weeks away? Something like that. I'm very excited for that one. Big fight. And of course, Dricus du Plessis came out this week and he said he's not going to wrestle Israel Adesanya.
I think that Dricus is going to shoot and take him down. No way. We want to beat him on the feet.
Which is interesting because unless you're Alex Pereira, everybody's trying to wrestle Israel Adesanya. Phenomenal kickboxer, very tall and long. Take him down, all those strengths are nullified. However, Dricus du Plessis believes in his power. A lot of people say he's got weird, sloppy, offbeat rhythm. I think he's great. I think he's so efficient on the feet. He's dangerous. He's wild. He goes forward. He swings and commits to every single shot. But he also has the ability to seamlessly take people down. Remember when he took down Darren Till? Remember when he beat Sean Strickland? He took him down, I don't know how many times, but it was at least one every single round, and they were quick, easy takedowns. So I don't know if he's just bullshitting to Izzy, playing a bit of mind games and gonna surprise him. But I don't think he is. I think he's actually gonna stand with him. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna try and prove a point and knock the man out on his feet, which will be unbelievable. And remember, you cannot underestimate Israel Adesanya. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today. I've got to get back to the family. We're here in Maui for about 8 days. I'm going to catch up with my old Ultimate Fighter 3 brother, Kendall Grove. Going to swing by his gym. I haven't seen him in quite some time now. After the Ultimate Fighter, he came and trained at my house quite a few times, helped me out with my training camps. We went all over the world. We went to Australia, we went to Canada, we went to Hong Kong, Macau, Brazil, all over the place. So it's going to be great to pop into the gym, see Kendall, see all the students that he's working with. I'm going to take the kids down as well, take the 2 boys down there, get a little training session in. Anyway, as I say, Maui, absolutely beautiful. Came here 10 years ago for our honeymoon, and now we're just kind of reliving it, this time with 3 kids in tow. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, thank you for watching and supporting the channel. Subscribe and ring the bell, please, and I will see you soon.